No one knows what I do. I don't know what I do. I do nothing. All day long. I'm confessing this because I don't know where else to tell my story, and I've never told anyone anything ever. Not even family. What prompted this is I received a new iPhone that I didn't order in the mail, with unlimited high bandwidth data. I also got a certificate stating I had 10 years of loyal corporate service with a particular Fortune 100 company, and now eligible for something like 5 weeks of paid vacation a year, not counting numerous corporate perks for key employees like myself. I'm a corporate drone who keeps his head down. I'm invisible. I haven't been to the office in 8 years. It started at my old company when they melted down and went bankrupt and got absorbed by a competitor. They laid me off and paid me to keep my mouth shut about the 2006 nonsense. I went and got a new job. I'm doing drone-like corporate work in financial services. Then 3 amazing coincidences happened. I didn't know it at the time, but they were under investigation for some slightly fraudulent things that were in the news. Just standard financial nonsense in the industry. So they had fired a ton of people to clean house, changed some protocols to make the feds happy, which is why I was contracted. After contracting for a while, they laid off more people and I was forced to roll permanent, which I hate. Rolling permanent means less money, but I figured this company would melt down too shortly. So why not? So I went permanent, and the person who hired me was fired that week, and then everyone but me on the team was fired, and third, whatever we did was being done by automation or absorbed by others. So I didn't have a lot to do. I had a lot of dotted line type bosses. What I used to do affected a lot of departments, but I didn't do any actual work, and no one asked me to do anything. The division was spun off into its own billion-dollar company, then absorbed back into the parent company to keep the liability levels down when Johnny Law gets curious. Each time, they give out stock grants or give tender offers above the current value, and like a good corporate drone, I keep maxing out my employee stock profit share and buying company stock at a discount, so each time I come out, well, I max out my 401k. I have every benefit that's offered. Since I was bored and had nothing to do, I would do odd jobs for other groups. Then that got automated, but somehow I'd get the credit as somehow being involved in it. With all the layoffs and mergers, anyone that knew me has been removed, arrested, jumped ship, or been laid off. I think the whole place has been taken over by an AI system, and there are no more humans. I honestly have no idea. I've written glowing annual performance reviews and rated myself as horrible to see what would happen. I've written haikus in the additional comments section, but it's always the same COLA annual delta regardless. I started working from home often, then stopped showing up entirely. No one noticed or said anything. I would ignore meetings just to see what would happen. Nothing. I started going on vacations, a 3-day weekend here and there, then traveled around the world a half-dozen times. Nothing, just regular direct deposits kept coming. A healthy 401k match, nice stock options. W-2 at the end of the year. Tons of standard corporate perks. I just moved $250,000 into bonds to hedge against some emerging market investments. I've earned none of it. I've basically retired from a career I never had. I'm hoping I continue to get paid after I'm dead. When people ask what I do, I usually tell them I'm unemployed. I don't know how to answer the question. On official forms, I say I'm a consultant. People assume I won the lottery or deal drugs, as I am always available to do things and travel a lot. I wanted to buy a condo, so I got a second job for a year. I bought my condo for cash. Now I have fewer bills and save even more money. All from working hard doing nothing. In all, the employer has paid out over $2 million in salary and benefits for me to use their iPhone and bandwidth to binge watch Netflix and porn. I'm writing this on it now from a bar off Times Square on a vacation. I started drinking at 10:30 am. I have no idea where my employee badge is and would need FBI forensics to locate it. If found, I wouldn't use it for fear of it triggering questions. If I do anything, it might expose my crimes and I'll be found out. So no one was murdered. I didn't cheat on a wife. And this is barely a confession, other than I'm a useless corporate weasel sucking off the corporate tite. I'm not even sure they could sue me to get their money back, as they never told me to do anything. I get paid $120,000 a year and do nothing. My life is meaningless. Next story. So, this is a story I've been dying to tell, but couldn't because I was still living it. Now that it's over, I can finally share my tale of being the forgotten employee. It all started when I landed a job at a small startup. The company had recently secured funding and they were eager to expand. I was hired as an IT specialist and things started off pretty well. My first couple of months was spent setting up infrastructure, handling server issues, and other typical IT tasks. But as time went on, the company started to shift its focus. They pivoted their product offering and hired more specialized staff to handle the new direction. My role became increasingly obsolete, but I still showed up to work every day, doing my best to be helpful. I started to realize, though, that no one was really assigning me any tasks or even seemed to notice if I was there. It was like I had become a ghost in the office. It didn't take long for me to exploit my newfound invisibility. I started coming in late, leaving early, and taking extra long lunch breaks. I'd occasionally browse Reddit and play online games during working hours. I was basically getting paid to do nothing. Months went by, and my salary continued to hit my bank account like clockwork. My boss never mentioned anything about my lack of productivity, and neither did my coworkers. It was like I had found the perfect balance between working hard and hardly working. I felt like I had struck gold. I spent my days enjoying the freedom of being unburdened by work while still collecting a paycheck. I traveled, picked up hobbies, and generally enjoyed life. Of course, I always kept my phone nearby just in case someone from work tried to contact me. But they never did. This continued for years. I had become a master at flying under the radar. I started to believe that I had achieved the dream, getting paid without any real work. I even started to think about retiring early and living off my earnings. But then, just as suddenly as it had begun, my cozy life came crashing down. One day, I received an email from HR with the subject line, "Urgent, please read." My heart dropped, knowing that this couldn't be good news. The email stated that the company was conducting an internal audit, and they'd discovered that I hadn't logged any hours or completed any work in quite some time. They requested that I come in for a meeting with HR to discuss my employment status. I knew the jig was up. I spent the night before the meeting preparing myself for the inevitable firing. It had been a good run, but all good things must come to an end. To my surprise, the meeting didn't go as expected. The HR manager told me that they were aware that I had been forgotten, but they also recognized that I had been with the company for years and had made valuable contributions in the past. They offered me a choice. I could either take a severance package and leave the company, or be transferred to a new department where my skills would be put to use. I decided to take the severance package and run with it. And that's the story of how I became the forgotten employee, getting paid to do nothing for years. It was fun while it lasted, but I learned a valuable lesson. Complacency can only get you so far. Now, I'm off to find a new job where I can make a difference and maybe even find some satisfaction in my work.